January 9th.
You're ahead, GP.
From the future.
You from the in the year
That was
2000.
such a great segment on
It
Conan.
was. It was great. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to another live podcast with all your homies. We're here. Um, I think did we nail what was about to happen on last week's call? I feel like we did. I feel like we kind of even said like 3% ish, and then all the negative Nancy's came out,
They
right?
sure did.
And where are we now? I don't know. You
We
tell me.
bounced right. We're about to take out last week's high, right? And
That's
it's
where we're
Monday.
at. Oh, and GP, I tagged you wrong on the Twitter. I'll fix that right now. But yes,
That's tech,
we
right?
uh we uh we uh we kind of picked it out rather perfect, I feel like. That's all we've been doing for what now? How long now? Just free alpha?
We officially crossed 2 years of doing this podcast about a week ago. No, we will be on the 15th of January, I believe,
We
was our
will
first
be,
one,
yes.
or was it the 9th? I can't remember which one it
Um,
was, but
it, it,
we're
it
at
was
like,
yeah. Yeah, we're right at 2 years.
yeah.
2 years of free alpha generation. All you had to do is listen.
Yeah.
But anyway, I don't want to toot our own horn too much, but that was damn near perfect. I just got to say it was. We'll see how the rest of the week goes, but when you've got like NVDA breaking out like it is, um, yeah, I don't know. I went really heavy in my bag of buys at the end of last week, and they're paying already. So you love to see it, right, Nick?
I did.
I actually, yeah, I wish I would have gone heavier last week, but I did not.
Well, it's always one of those things where I think somebody said I can't remember who coined the phrase, but sometimes it should never feel good putting a lot of money to work on the dip, right? Like you should have
Sure.
a healthy amount of uh skepticism, I guess, of doing the work. But anyway.
I was comfortable. That's the thing. Like I was comfortable in the positions that I'm in, and I just didn't really want to wreck my prices and a lot of stuff. So it was like, I don't know. Like I think I've got everything looks so good.
I don't
Even
even know where
like,
to start,
yeah, I was
honestly.
gonna say, yeah, start with like Rivian and Tesla, right? Like basically both almost look identical here. Um, Put in like kind of like a sneaky little engulfing bar. Both Rivian and Tesla did today. I think if you have like an for yeah, I don't know. I like them both.
Well, just look. I mean, I started off by saying this motherfucker right here, like
Yeah, there's nothing. I mean, if you
rocket ship NVIDIA
for
went
sure
for launch. I mean, look at that.
like
6.43%. You love to see it if you're a bull of semiconductors. One thing that I pointed out, Nick, and sorry, I don't mean to step on you. I know I asked you the
no,
question, but you know, we love to see semis being tech leadership, right? And they were the first to bounce, and now they're the first to show the strength, right? Like you just look at the SMH, we're looking at NVIDIA right now, but they kind of put in the early U-turn. Um, and NVIDIA followed through. I played NVIDIA Friday great, and I was really happy with getting out of this week's calls. But my calls, had I been in them, they closed today at $29. Of course, I sold them all on Friday. But look at that. Just that's a boner bar.
Yeah, it's about as pretty as it gets.
GP, did anything surprise you about today's fuck 'em up Maximus candle
In NVIDIA?
in any of them?
So no. Sorry. We've been talking about this for a few weeks now, but 2024 was the year that everyone gave up on mega caps while they've been consolidating for 5 to 7 months. And it hasn't been distribution. And today proves that pretty easily that it's not distribution, as it's starting to break out of its range. It's having its Broadcom moment. Broadcom's break out of the box was 21 point something percent. So where does 21 from 505 get you? It gets you to about 6 something, right? So
Yeah.
this is what we've been talking about for a long time, which is you're in the early stages of all this AI stuff, right? And you're talking about distribution, then you're being short-sighted. My personal opinion, right? And so this stuff, there hasn't been large volume distribution at all when you're looking at the daily charts, weekly charts, monthly charts on any of these names. Looks like it's just fumbling around until it's ready to move. And today looked like it was ready to, honestly, it looked like it was ready to move Friday, but there's a lot of options crap that happens in this market.
Yeah.
And so NVIDIA stormed out of the gate on Friday, hit 495, and literally couldn't get past it after that because of whatever flows, whatever was going on in terms of the options market. There's like, we're not going to pay all these, and so we're going to make sure it goes underneath. And then what happens? It obviously was ready to break out on Friday. I'm not going to say manipulated because that's just the market we have. But it broke out today. Like, it's no shocker, right? And same thing with SMCI, which actually had a better move than NVIDIA today, right? And SMCI was ready to freaking launch on Friday, and the same thing. All these sellers of calls or whatever came in, and it just there's a lot of short-term price action that doesn't represent. No, yeah, but there's a lot of short-term price action doesn't represent what it used to happen, right? So it's interesting to see. So you have to adjust your trading.
The Avengers, form the Infinity Gauntlet here, and Marvell, look at that. I mean, it's ready to break all-time. Well, not all-time high, but the range high.
QCOM, same thing.
Marvell, QCOM, AMD. I mean, we can't go a pod without mentioning AMD.
Yep. Intel had a nice candle today too. Like
I mean,
the guy can't
go a podcast without mentioning Intel, but anyway.
I thought that bar that AMD put in today was impressive. Closing up above the kind of up into that
but
gap.
But below the gap. Didn't fill the gap though. If it had filled the gap, I'd be like, wow. But still impressive nonetheless.
It's kind of like it's kind of an ugly setup too. Like how it pulled into the 20-day. It's, I don't know. It's not, I don't know. I feel like AMD has been a tough trade.
Yeah, for the life of the stock. I think last week was tough to see on the charts, and that's why a lot of this stuff looks good. Ugly. I mean, that looked good looks pretty ugly now. But last week was just relentless, right? Like AMD pretty much it hit 151 and straight down to 133, literally giving back like 3-4 weeks in 3 days, and not on much volume, right? So it wasn't heavy distribution. So it's nice to see that
Netflix looks like it is about ready. Oh yeah,
Oh, screw Netflix. This thing has been at 485 for fucking 6 years. Sorry, As in, like, yeah, maybe it's ready to go. I'm not saying it. And yes, I'm sitting pretty from owning shares after selling, I think, in around this area. On the breakdown in 2022, uh, selling shares, I mean, sorry, holding shares from a much lower. It's just been, I in times like this, I hate low floater names. I think that's what it comes to down to. But it does look good. But there's no reason for Netflix to clear 485 after 6 months and then lose it again, right? To only hold and then come back down. I mean, come back
Boeing
up.
finally fell off the map after all of the planes falling apart.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this one too, right? Like,
Yep.
I think we first started talking about Boeing in 2022. It's like, dude, they diluted the hell out of their shares. This is going to take a really long time for the stock to regain its momentum. And then management keeps fumbling the ball, right? Like, it's literally a series of multi-year fumbles.
Global Foundries. I gotta put ARM on this list. I haven't looked at ARM recently. ARM just goes up.
Yeah, massive bar today.
I mean, Baba was down nearly 3% to open the session and only closed at 0.18% down.
Yeah, awesome recovery on the road to nowhere.
On the road to nowhere. There was huge call buying in Baba last week, though.
There has been for so long, it has not made any difference. So I stopped looking at it, and maybe this time it's right and it's actually going to work out. But dude, I've seen lots of call buying that's just been obliterated in Baba.
What else? What else really went today?
Um,
IoT at a
what else?
5 and a point six
Oh, nice
seven.
pop off of 50 day.
Redfin had a great day.
Redfin.
Yeah,
Redfin had a day. They did. They sure did.
Crocs had a great day.
And that was just an analyst. That was just an upgrade to overperform, right?
For Crocs, yeah.
Yeah. Look at that power move. Fastly, there's your Fastly, Nick.
Uh,
a nice bar today.
Quarter too late, Nick.
I know. I know.
Upwork. I posted Upwork with my fellas week before last, I think. Looks really good. Look at that. Kathy's NVTA. Is she even in that? I don't know. How the mighty have fallen.
I think one of the biggest things for me is looking at the trend in XLF. That is one beast trend.
In what, Juby?
XLF, the financials.
XLF,
Gosh,
yep.
my gosh, it reclaimed the
So clean.
9-day moving average on October 31st, and it literally has not really broken it, right? Like, I think there was 1 or 2 days it might have broken it, but it's just trending higher. It's had financials have just put in what, a 15-20% move in in 2 months.
Julio fired their
Out of a month.
CEO and went skyrocket.
Twilio.
Twilio.
What do you think of
Yeah.
Square?
Not as nice as move as everybody else today, but
Yeah, I think so. To me, I think Square's got to come back and have that kind of retest area like Roku and Shop did in 2023.
Sure.
I don't think it's enough here, so I'm just a little bit cautious. But I also thought, and like end of November, early December, that Square, after having a nearly 80% move, would have tax loss selling, but that thing just freaking just kept rocketing, right? I think that was around 58 and it hit all the way to 80. So the concern for me here is Square, after such a big move, couldn't take out the prior pivot highs, which is like you're gonna come all the way here, but not at least try to take out the prior pivot highs and then fail, but just fail beforehand. Seems a little caution is warranted to me.
Randy said XBI, and yes, XBI went. XBI and IWM have gone.
Yeah, and XPI has been what? Oh, wow. That's a lot of volume today too. Holy crap!
Yes, on the daily. Yes, that's a lot of volume.
I mean,
And it started the year strong, right? It was strong
VRTX
off
looks
the
good.
Which one, Nick?
Our VRTX.
Vertex.
And Eli Lilly looks really good here too.
Yep.
I think Eli Lilly looks actually amazing.
It does.
So does Moderna.
It looks very similar to NVIDIA.
Yeah.
And funny enough, they have a game-changing drug, right? These guys have a game-changing chip. So
Dell with a gap up too. Dell, nice move. Man, Dell has been doing nothing but win.
Yeah.
I'm just in awe of us. Ha ha.
It's for me, the market hours here in New Zealand are 3:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. So I miss most of the markets and seeing these charts afterwards. So it's nice to have this call and talk to you guys about this stuff and to see what charts are looking good. I didn't obviously even get a chance to go through everything yet, but it's a great reaction to start the year. They killed the Santa rally. They made sure you got even more bearish.
Like somebody, I don't remember who, but somebody posted like, this is how you know it's really bearish. Nobody's afraid of this dip. There was a lot of people afraid of that dip.
Yeah, that flipped fast.
There were a lot of people that were afraid. I mean, just going over our call last week, right? Nick, I even think you said like I'd like to start nibbling at or under 400, something, if I'm paraphrasing you.
Yeah.
On the cues, and bang on, right? Like bang freaking on. Right? We got down to 395. And
but even the call, did you see even the call that I had with
how'd that go?
Seller, and I thought it went really well. It started late, so that was a bit frustrating. Unfortunately, people don't have the same respect for your time as you do for others, but it is what it is. It's I thought the call was really well, but every single one of those people wanted a pretty big pullback, right? I don't know if you heard the call bags.
Yep, I listened for about the first 30 minutes.
Yeah, and so every single one of those people are like looking for pretty decent sized pullbacks. And I was like, we are literally just breaking out of 5 months of consolidation with a 2-month clip, and you think we're going to give it all the way back? Like, say what? And so I don't always understand other people's technical views, and I'm not saying they're right or wrong, but the bearishness
I thought Jim Rowe was probably the most well, short seller was pretty bullish too, but
he's bullish like macro and big picture, right?
Yeah,
short term here and there.
Right.
So
yeah. I think Jim Rowe was though. Like he was, talking about all these price targets into Valentine's Day and over the next month, which, I think overall I felt he was pretty bullish.
So I didn't hear him talk too much because he came late, and so I left before he started talking. I know you were talking about Dow 40,000.
Holy shit! What, Nick?
I happened to look at the Costco chart, which I kind of lost track of, but damn, the thing continues to hold up
It's
incredibly
just
well.
beautiful.
It really is.
So I just discovered that New Zealand's a pretty small country, right? And they tend to have local kind of monopoly, so to speak. And I thought Costco would never be able to come here and compete. And because prices here are just like, a dozen eggs is $10 here, right? It's not cheap here at all to live. And so I didn't think Costco could come here. And then I just found out that Costco opened their first store last year in Auckland, which is their major city, and they're planning to do a lot more because the response has been really good. And I was like, well, Costco can grow here in New Zealand where it's a harder market to grow in, but yearning for lower prices, then my gosh, their growth is going to be it's just going to be solid and steady, right? They're very
If you
like the
can do it
management
here,
team.
you can do it anywhere.
Yeah, New Zealand tends to be like a launching ground for a lot of companies as well, but it's also harder to get in on the larger because there's only like two big companies here. So for Costco to come in and test it out and find success on top of that, I just like their management style, right? That's just good, smart management. Not, hey, we're gonna open up 10 Costco, see how it goes, right? We're gonna do a pilot. This is a mature company, been around a long time, and they're still piloting companies. So countries. And so that's just good overall management. So I think the chart just represents awesome management. And yes, it looks brilliant.
So what are we expecting for the rest of the week? More of the same? We
I
have
think people
what,
just
CPI this week?
yes. And I think everyone who was surprised by last week on the bull side from a bearish perspective, it reverses tables this week. We are heading into the heart of earnings season. When was the last
Yes.
time we had a run up into earnings season? It's been a while, no?
They
Do you
all
think
they all start
we're
running
gonna
together now.
Sorry, what's that?
you think we're ripping through the highs and continuing higher from here?
Yeah. Dude, NVIDIA is telling you Netflix is on its toe, on its heels. Netflix, oddly enough, for the first time in a really long time, but screwed me ultimately. They moved their earnings from January OpEx to the week after. So that was interesting, but Netflix looks good too.
Yeah.
Um, Microsoft keeps holding that level that we've been talking about for a few weeks now, right? That 364, 66 level. Apple, okay, weakness, but today's downgrade or lack of shipments was not the candle everyone was expecting, right? At the 200
Goldman's
day.
to your XLF, Goldman's looking super tight.
Yep. JPM looks great. Even the originals, KRE,
Yeah,
looks
KRE's
fantastic.
been fantastic.
Yeah. So this is to me, this is like if you step back and look at the bigger picture here, what's happening? You're seeing what is typically a very bullish scenario for more than a week, if you can get your head out of your ass, um, is rotation. So like the last 4 or 5, so the last 2 or 3 months, mega caps have been pretty sideways to kind of weak, right? Getting to the top of range, getting destroyed, and then your breadth started to expand. A lot more stocks started to participate into December, like end of November into December, and they were starting to do better, right? So overall, you were seeing breadth starting to expand while mega caps and large caps start to um, pretty much stay flat to go down. And now, as those in need of rest, like BA was on a monster run, right? For the news to drop and to drop $20 today, it's really not a big deal when you look at the chart perspective, right? So it's down, it was up from 174 all the way to 270, right? It's up 100 points to come back and consolidate while now the mega caps are starting to leave, which you saw with NVIDIA today. SMCI is a smaller cap, but it's getting ready to break out. Microsoft has been testing that level, starting to move higher. Google back to that 136 level, testing, moving higher. Meta, as the market has been red, Meta's been green for 3 days, right?
Yep.
So I just think it's rotation, and rotation is the lifeblood of a bull market. It's not the lifeblood of a bear market, right? So it's good to pay attention to what you're seeing on a longer term assignment. Is not things breaking down, but things rotating, and those are all signs of continued strength.
We talked about Hood a couple weeks ago. Look at, Robin Hood, right? Like,
yep.
Nick, you started off talking about Tesla and Rivian. Rivian has had a brutal week last week. But
yeah,
you already took a quarter of that back in one session. Not too shabby.
Yeah, and I think we even talked about Rivian, right? It's like Rivian looked really great, and then last minute on Friday, right before all the before the delivery numbers came out, there was these massive puts that came in short term, like 1 or 2 weeks out, right?
Yep.
So I was like, it's probably not gonna have the reaction everyone wants, and you see it, right? The market seems to be more and more flow driven. I know no one likes to hear it, but it just seems to be that way.
It is
and
what
Rivian's
it is.
And Rivian's numbers weren't bad, so for it to be sold was kind of stupid. But they did this to Tesla back in the day too. Anytime good news came out, it went the opposite of what everyone thought because the setup was bullish, and then it would just have a bearish candle. And so these feels like very similar to the Tesla early growth days. So be patient, in my opinion, on Rivian for the longer term. If you're holding shares, if you're trading options, it's a crapshoot a lot of times.
Pretty volatile.
Yeah. So how about we talk about things that are bad?
Things that are bad.
Oh,
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't got anything. Sorry.
Boeing. I threw Boeing out. China has not been great.
Yeah. The Boeing is after a 100-point move higher, right? So a 20-point move down is still an 80-point higher move. So it's not terrible. And the volume wasn't crazy today. That's the biggest thing that I noticed.
Well,
that I was expecting on
they found a
news
whole
like
bunch
this.
of loose bolts this afternoon, so things could get uglier for Boeing. I think we all remember 2019 with Boeing, right? And then we kind of forget because we were all dealing with the pandemic, but Boeing was dealing with a lot of shit early 2020 as well. So, but this has been a stock that, as Grandpappy Bags would say, has stepped on its own dick a lot. So and I think that's management, right? Like, we've talked about this plenty of times in the past. So, bad news typically begets bad news, and I don't know where, if you're a buyer of Boeing, where you want to take your shot at, but I would probably wait if it were me. But we'll see. I don't think they're out of the woods by any stretch of the means.
No. This is Boeing is a long term play for me, but it's going to have these gyrations, right? So, you know, it's a crazy chart. If I can't find too much bad stuff, to be honest, which is always a concern and sitting in the back of my mind. But the AMZN chart. Anyone watching the big tech, big bio caps? Because they're pretty strong to open the year.
Things exploding, yeah.
Amgen, Regeneron, Gilead, even Biogen. Right? So a lot of these, J&J looks good. A lot of these.
Moderna looks good.
The IBB as a
Moderna looks
whole.
good. So, like, I like to pay attention to see what starts this year strong, because that tends to be the ones that continue to be strong throughout the year. And last week, if you were paying attention, it was all IBB.
Nobody wanted Moderna at 70. Now everybody wants a piece of Moderna at 115.
Yeah, no shit.
Price pays, price pays.
Well, I mean, since 2021, it's a constant downtrend. It's hard to step in front of that train, right?
Yeah. So the one that continues to kind of befuddle me is Penn. Anyone watching Penn? It's literally
10.
just, yeah.
No.
Like we talk about DraftKings a lot, but Penn has not been talked about, and duly so because it's done Jack and mostly Jack. Anyone have any insight into that?
I do not.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't really been paying attention to it actually at all.
Yeah. Other names that look good that are not so much high radar. Doc N looks good. If you've been looking at that, Doc N.
Digital Ocean.
Yeah, it does look pretty good.
App looks great on the weekly time frame. Still
App,
needs to
love
move
it.
higher. Yeah. I think app looks good. Do we have any questions from anyone?
Regeneron was terrible, Randy says. NXT looks good, says Alex. What's NXT?
Next tracker?
Next
How does that
tracker.
look good?
Some pretty heavy volume on that sell off,
Yeah.
but I can hold
Monkey
here.
Banana brought up Pack B today. They pre-released earnings and it was not good. But he's a believer in that one, or so he tells me. This is not financial advice.
Yeah. Is he just listening?
Shamsu, I like Google too. I like
Yeah.
Google a lot.
Yeah.
It's pretty hefty volume on Pack B.
Yeah, it was. It was a lot of shares.
Yeah, it was a lot of shares. What do we think about oil?
Oil,
Oil. My
the crude that you
comments
dropped the
from
bomb
last
on
week.
us last week.
That's the one.
I mean,
Nah.
yeah, I'm kind of meh. As
I've
long as
decided
as long
that
as it's holding 70, it's got a chance. Whenever it breaches that 67 range, yeah, it's triple.
Yeah.
But your thesis is it's not going to do that because it's holding the 50 weekly
Monthly, I believe.
or
Or is it
monthly.
the
Yes,
weekly?
50 monthly. Yeah, you're right.
You have a golden cross happening on the monthly time. To me, it could still be this for a couple more months, but will produce a longer term trend once those cross and turn.
Or it could break through.
Or it could break through. Yes, yes, yes.
It's always a possibility.
Yeah, anything's a possibility.
what do you think of the crypto
But I
stuff?
like it.
I mean, Bitcoin touched what 47 earlier today, Nick? Is that right?
Yeah.
47?
I think so.
So, I mean, it's 47,330 was the high. I mean, we touched base on this last week, right? And my thesis is still the same. It bounced where it had to bounce to preserve the uptrend. I shouldn't say preserve the uptrend. To keep the momentum going is probably a more accurate way of describing that.
Which one?
Bitcoin.
Oh yeah.
So above
Yeah.
40, and it's good still. So
Some
40.
interesting moves in the crypto adjacent names, right? Like coin last week as crypto was breaking out was breaking down, so to speak. And now coin is starting, and then the other miners and stuff are doing well, like MicroStrategy was just a
Excuse me.
holder, but and now MicroStrategy had a bad day today, whereas coin had a good day. So it's interesting how that continues to flip back and forth, the pairing or the relationship or whatever that's going on there.
Do you
Coin was
see
down
Mara?
early in the session today, and crypto was up, and I was like, "What is going on? Someone is lying here." What were you saying, Nick?
Do you see Mara at like 50 plus from here?
Which one?
Like
Mara.
Mara?
Mara, 50 plus. You think it's going to double from here?
Yeah, no, I'm asking, like, what do you think? Like,
Well,
same thing
all-time
with
high is 83.
like Riot also. You know, it's got like a pretty nice big looking kind of cup and
Yeah,
handle
because as long as
forming here.
crypto's going, they're going to go.
Yeah.
So if there's a lot of people saying $100,000 Bitcoin, right? If we get $100,000 Bitcoin, then absolutely.
If you see $100,000 Bitcoin and these don't take out all-time highs,
Yeah,
it's
for sure.
something to pay attention to.
1,000%. Yeah, I can see 50 on Mara.
The breakout from here should be to at least that 41 area. 50 if it gets crazy, which Mara usually does. 58 actually if it gets crazy.
So yeah,
But 41 I think is going to be hard to get through. '41, that resistance goes back all the way to like 2014, the 41 area.
Jason said he's looking at Pin right now and he likes it. He said, I like.
I saw that. I don't necessarily agree with it, but and I don't agree with it in the context of there's so much better stuff out there, like chart wise, that
Like
this one is
Baba.
not.
Baba's fantastic. Look at that chart.
Yeah. So like unless you have an infinite stack of money, it's hard to allocate to all this stuff.
Infinite money glitch.
Yep.
Let's look at our stock picks. Advanced Auto Parts.
What's that?
Kind of flagging. 61.91.
Yeah.
United Rentals had a little pullback last week, like most things did.
Oh.
Rish. Pretty good. And Soxel. I mean, we really even need to look at Soxel Cookie. Next quarter, we got to tell Cookie no 3Xs. Individual names.
Yeah.
Cookie.
It's got to be in there.
Cookie.
I thought we were paying attention to stocks, not ETFs.
Cookie. SMCI looks. Look at that. Just we mentioned that earlier. Just
Yeah, beast move.
what's my girl Lulu up to? Not much. Oh, Nike. I'm surprised that they were up that much after the Tiger Woods news.
What's that?
On went up. Tiger and Nike are parting ways.
Oh man.
And the rumor is that he is going to On, which I don't know.
On.
Yeah, I don't know if he's going to On. But anyway, just something interesting in the sports apparel business.
This thing.
Yeah. I finally got around to watching Air.
Yeah, the Jordan movie about the shoes.
And how Nike pretty much risked it all on Jordan. Not risked it all. They were still doing well on their running brand, but how basically Jordan took them to the next level, and it just further, I think, validates my opinion that Jordan is the greatest athlete of all time because of what he's done for so many different sports and names. Right, like sport apparel companies never used to profit share with their players, and you see a lot more doing that. Right, his in the movie, his original contract was 5 years, 250,000 a year. Right?
He's involved with DraftKings, right?
Is he?
Yeah,
don't
I think
know.
he's on their board or something.
Okay.
Let me double check that. But he's somehow DraftKings Michael Jordan. He is a board member. I was correct. And he has an equity stake. To be a board member, you should have an equity stake, right? Right.
Yeah, I would think so. I think everyone should have an equity stake, to be honest. Right? All employees should have an equity stake in their companies. It gives them something to strive and something to move forward. It's a piece of the company. It gives people purpose. So
Not too many charts to look at.
yeah, there are too
Yeah.
many charts, and
Shop had a nice beast move of a bar today.
yeah, but there's no reason for Shop to also drop $8, $9.
Yeah.
Like it's done its time. Like, can we not have useless selling again and again and again?
And again and again.
Yes.
Yeah, there's
And
so many
just
freaking setups out there. Like, I don't even.
yeah, a lot of this looks like just retests of the original breakouts,
Yeah.
right? Like the shop broke out, flagged into this kind of area, came back and retested it last week, and it's been up straight 3 days in a row, right? And the green volume on the up days is on the 3 up days is bigger than the down volume on the 3 down days. I like Meta too. I think Meta looks pretty damn good.
Yeah, I do too.
Airbnb, Jason says, yeah, Airbnb's just grinding higher.
Yeah. Which is why I was like, well, maybe we should talk about the crap that looks terrible because there's too many good looking charts. Wish? Can we talk about Wish?
Context logic.
Oh, wait. How's Nicola doing?
Nicola.
It is doing nothing.
81
Awesome.
cents.
Just solid nothing. Though it was up 5.25% today, so a lot of the fintech
I think
names
it's
are
gonna
actually
really
looking
pop, GP. I think
Nicola,
it's
yes.
pop. Yeah, I think it's
Are you now an investor?
No, I am not an investor. No, I hold
Okay.
no position in Nicola. But I think it's gonna give you a little pop right here. Everything else is
It
going to
can
be
get all the
strong
way.
this week. It's going to run up. It's going to give you some percentiles.
Yeah.
Maybe just make it easy on the FNGU. It's a 3x.
3x megas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My homie Big Greeny used to love the fungu.
I drew a lot of fibs on a lot of these charts, basically starting in like the um what is that, like the October lows, basically, like from those pivot lows to the most recent highs. On a lot of these charts, we've held the 0.23, which is basically just saying we've held basically the top 20% of this range or of this leg. Like that,
Which you
I
would
would
expect,
still,
right? Because it's only been a week down. Not even, it
yeah.
was 4 days down. So
I'm just saying to like if we hold this and just legitimately like trend or break out from here and move higher, that would the idea or the trend of like lockout rally is going to continue. It seems
yeah,
like.
your generational buying opportunity was last Thursday.
Yeah. Your generational buying opportunity. I was as I was just scrolling headlines after getting to the Michael Jordan DraftKings, CNN right now, who has on their homepage in the lead story space, record number of Chinese migrants are embarking on the perilous walking route to the United States. Why these people are fleeing the world's second largest economy. Um, I don't know. That sounds like that's a good read for China Bulls.
Yeah, maybe they can actually muster up a move more than 1 or 2% a day. Sorry, most China stocks are in the prove me wrong phase, right?
Hmm.
And they've done nothing since 2021. So multi-year nothingness doesn't excite me in any way. Let it move higher and then try to figure out how to get position long on pullbacks, right? That's that's the way I would be. There's no reason to there's just no reason right now. Because it could not break down, but it could just keep going sideways. And
Yeah.
you could tend to miss moves and everything else because you're too focused on this stuff.
And you've got
These are the
capital
type
in
of
it,
charts.
right?
Yeah, but these are the types of charts that destroy your mental capital. So when the real move happens, you're just like, oh fuck, thank God I'm green, I'm out, right? And
Yeah.
then you watch it double from there, and you're like, oh my God. So I just tend to stay with these. Oh, you for me, the rule of thumb is like maybe 2 to 3 times. Try it, hope that it's going to go. But if it continues to fail you after that, it's now destroying not only your capital, but it's also destroying your mental capital, which I think is a heavier asset in markets than the capital deployed.
Interesting. I will have to read that later.
What's that?
That story on CNN.
Other side. You know what looks good? Ulta looks good.
Ulta been looking good, baby girl.
Yeah. And GE, I never thought I'd say this. GE actually looks like it's ready to shift out of a 24-year downtrend, which to me is something to really pay attention to. Because if that's the case, then this has legs. This has legs for a long time.
Wow.
Yeah, G does look great.
It's still in a downtrend because it has not made a higher high in 24 years. So overall, I think we talked about this in 2022 where the downtrend was kind of ended and like, well, it's making lower highs, right? So it's still a downtrend. I'm like, yeah. So it's in that precarious position of it's still kind of overall making lower highs, but I really like the way it's it's looking, that it's kind of shifted its process. And yes, that's after a 300% move higher. No positions, by the way, but I'd be looking for weakness here.
Have you eaten at a Cava?
Hava?
Cava, yeah.
Long time ago, before the IPO, it is one of their first restaurants that I think they opened in
What'd you think of it?
Washington D.C. It was the Chipotle of falafel.
Okay.
Right? It's clean, it's organized, food tastes good, reasonably priced, but it's fast food, right? So it'll be. I think Chipotle took a while to kind of break out, right, before it actually started its monster move. So it really depends on your time frame in this one. And I don't think they came in at too high a valuation. Question is falafel more popular than Mexican food? And that's a hard one to answer. And I would say no. I think the love of Mexican food is global.
Yeah, true that.
And maybe Kava's the one that globalizes falafels as well. But I feel like falafels are a very specific taste compared to Mexican food.
We have completely just bullshit this podcast, and we've only got like less than 10 minutes to go.
Yeah.
Oh man, that really flew by.
I know.
It did fly by.
I wasn't saying that in a bad way. I mean, this wouldn't be the first time we bullshitted for an hour.
Yeah,
What do you
I
think
think
of
it goes
AMD?
hand in hand with the markets, right? Like the markets are in an uptrending mode, so there's less to do and more to watch.
Very true. I would agree with that statement like 1000%.
Yeah.
Like anytime that you tried to get fucking cute over the course of the last year or so, like it just ended up being a waste of fucking time. You know what I'm saying? Like as a trader, I think it pays to like, pull some of these, like pull money off the table at like, measure whatever measured moves you have drawn out or whatnot. But like, I don't know. Trying to get too cute, it's like if price is above like the moving averages that you watch, just kind of let price do it, let it do what it wants to do.
Yeah, I mean, I missed NVDA off the open this morning for another options trade, but I wasn't going to chase. I could have chased and made money, but at the same time, it was just the work you put in beforehand with the longs, right? You just enjoy watching that happen.
The best thing about like days like today for me are largely because once you set alerts, like it doesn't matter when they trigger, right? Like if all of a sudden alerts are going off and like it's bringing your attention to like, where price is at kind of a pivotal point, it's, I don't know. It made days like today. Made it like what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So let's talk about one that we're probably all kind of intrigued on what the hell is going on, right? Let's talk about Tesla a little bit more in detail before we end the show.
Yeah.
Please.
So Tesla has been garbage. Let's be honest, right?
Yeah.
Everyone's been calling for the breakout, and every time the breakout is looming, it just takes some monster fucking shit, right? So, so what is going on here to you guys?
I think it's largely
It's been
being
months.
accumulated through here. Just looking at the weekly, like we have a lot, like there's a lot of I think there's a lot of underlying support here, kind of in this, let's just say 220 to 250 range.
We have a lot of
Yeah.
dead bodies we're working through.
Yeah. I mean, I certainly don't look at it like it's distribution. Like just looking like even just kind of like quickly zoom in the volume profile on on the daily chart of Tesla, like most of the above average bars are green.
Yeah, it's been accumulated for a really long time. And so it broke the 9 week, so you should be cautious, technically speaking, and you hope it reclaims. But it broke the rising 9 week, not the declining 9 weeks. So it most likely will reclaim that this week. I would love to see a monster bullish engulfing bar this week
Yeah,
because that would be.
250 close, a 250 plus close would be awesome.
I wanted to just clear 270, right? Like
Yeah.
just straight
Yeah,
through,
just
straight
do not
through.
pass go. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Let's
And
fucking
because
rip it already.
this type of behavior in Tesla is usually room for garbage action, like we've seen, right? Like when it doesn't clear levels immediately off the branch, there's just too much premium flow in the stock to have clean movements unless it's in a proper uptrend. How do you get a proper uptrend? You crush levels, right? You just break through and destroy levels after levels. So what I would like to see from the Tesla bulls this week in specific is it broke the 9 week moving average last week on a slight uptick in volume. So, and you got to remember the slight uptick on volume is on 4 days, right? Not 5. So it's something to really kind of pay attention to because if this turns into a false breakdown, which I think it will, you have the potential start of a bigger move. But even that today, it lagged. It lagged hardcore. And it's still doing nonsense throughout the day. So it's just not ready. I think that's the final answer. And maybe it'll be earnings that makes it ready. Maybe it'll be, but there's not a ton of catalysts in Tesla this year. It'll just be execution.
You think we see Tesla like sub 200 again?
No, hell no. Tomorrow.
He said, hell no. Anything's possible.
Yes. Will I bet one of my 2 kidneys on that?
No.
Baby.
Time frame.
Yes, it's time frame. But ultimately it hit 194. That was my last buy actually that day. I bought 194. I bought a 198. I waited for the reversal. But it has made higher lows ever since then. Higher highs, higher lows. It is grinding higher. And usually these grinds culminate in a bigger move eventually. So do I think 200, sub 200 is coming again? No, I think you had your opportunity to buy below there. And if sub 200 did come again, I wouldn't be buying.
You would not be?
I would not be buying. Right? Like if you look at the chart, the pivot low from the July pivot high to August was 212. It came back 3 months later, retested that low, broke it, came back and reclaimed it, retested, and has been moving higher. So if it comes back and breaks that low for me, this
Yeah.
is not a bullish chart. This is not something you want to catch a knife on. You want that to play out. Maybe 200 ends up being the bottom again, but or 212 ends up being the bottom again, essentially creating another inverse head and shoulder in the stupid chart. But if it breaks below 200, I don't want to be a part of it because I need to see actual action show up to support the case. And if it doesn't, then it's got much lower to go.
Elon can do some more hard drugs. Allegedly.
Yeah. No, not allegedly. He's done hard drugs. He smoked. Yeah, whatever. I care less. Just make the chart go.
That was the story in the Wall Street Journal over the weekend.
Yeah. And so that the key thing about that low back in October, right? The 194, that's probably in my 10 years of holding Tesla, that's probably the most bearish I've heard Elon. And he had some really gray days, really dark days early on. So, and we haven't really seen much lower than that. So sentiment wise, I think that was a pretty washout, pretty decent washout, technically and stuff. So I don't think it. I wouldn't want it to go back to visit that area because I don't think that's good. What about you, Nick? You think that becomes a good area to hold if it comes back to test it?
Back to like that one night, that 200.
Yeah.
I think I'd be really hesitant to I don't know. I guess I'd have to see honestly how I'm feeling that day if I want to throw money at
Away.
like at 200 versus 200.
Yeah.
Just mainly being that what I would be looking at if price was coming back into 200 is for it to break that and ultimately hold like around 160. Because like if you're just looking at it kind of like range on top of a range, so we basically had the 160 to 200 range and the 200 to 280 range.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'd gladly be long versus 160. I'm not saying that I think we get it. I'm just saying I would if we got it.
Yeah, I would still be very cautious at that point because while the markets are ripping higher, this is breaking down. So
yeah, true that.
Generally, so I think 212 is a possibility because it sort of creates the inverse head and shoulders here, right? Or 215, as Randy said.
Yeah.
So that's the area I'd be watching. Anything below that, it kind of confirms the larger downtrend, which is lower highs, which has been happening since, right? Lower highs and lower lows. And so if it breaks that 194 area, you have another confirmed lower low, which technically is never a great place to be. But I don't think that happens because you are now starting to see I believe the 9-week moving average is rising, and usually
So is the
after
20.
being flat, after the flat moving averages start to rise, any break below those rising moving averages tend to be false breakdowns. You have the 50 week that's also rising, the 20 week that's also rising. So you have your larger time frames sitting on bullish notes, but the daily being a fuckery, right? So
I purchased near
personally, yes,
last week's low, but just almost verbatim for the reasons why you're saying GP. My previous buy was like in the 213s, I think.
yeah,
So somewhere through here. So yeah, I added last week specifically for the reasons you're saying on the moving average. And if it breaks down below sort of that 213 area, I think it's a pretty easy stop.
pretty easy stop and most likely going lower, right?
Yep,
I think
pretty
that's
easy stop.
like you'll be happy you'll stopped up there because it'll go much lower at that point. That's my opinion, though, of course. But you also have when it comes to the moving crosses, I believe the 9-week is also crossing back over the 20-week, right? Which is inherently bullish as well. So there's a lot to like about this chart, which is why it's on so many people's radars. Yet it continues to misbehave.
It's just
Because as Randy
frustrating as
said,
fuck.
as Randy said, it's crowded, right? Everyone sees what we're seeing. There's nothing new about what we're showcasing. It's a chart.
Yeah.
Like I can't magically change how the moving averages look. No one can. So if I'm seeing it, there's going to be a lot of people seeing
Cookie can.
it. But that was the thing, right? Even the Qs. Qs was a simple weekly 9 SMA touch. And everyone got in crazy bearish.
Well, and the Qs weren't the only thing that had the touch. I mean, there were several. I posted a ton of them over on our Discord, but there were a
Yeah.
lot of 9 touches, and it's just like, I mean, it's just like we drew it up last week. Again, Nick said it best. I think if I could get under 400, I think that would be the buy.
Yeah. And it's the first, I think the agreed 100%, Nick. And he called that brilliantly. It's it's the same, like it's the first touch of the 9-week moving average in 9 weeks. Usually not a point of failure. It's usually a point of
Yeah, for sure.
Hey,
right.
GP,
So
since
yeah.
you're a day ahead of us, what's the market going to give us on Tuesday?
I have my eyes on Netflix because I think Netflix is ready to move, but
Did too, man. I
in
almost bought calls this earlier
Yeah.
in the session. I didn't, but I think it looks really good.
yeah, it's been a frustrating trade, so don't get me wrong, but I think this is ready to move. But it's not just Netflix, it's mega caps,
Yeah,
right? So
big
I
time.
see mega caps here, and it already started with NVIDIA.
Look at
I
Mr. Softy.
see yeah,
Look at that.
Microsoft,
Looks ready
Yeah,
to
all of them,
explode.
Google,
just
even Amazon.
And they're so tight too.
Mr. Softy's flagging at the 9 at all-time highs.
So
I mean,
you're looking at to me over the next week to 2 weeks, mega caps leading us out here.
Mr. Softy's got that look about him. Look at that though. Like, I don't know.
It looks ready to fire, right? It
I,
just
I regret selling my Microsoft for Amazon right now.
winners win, winners win.
Yeah.
Man, Apple
Amazon looks
basically.
great too, though, Nick. You were getting ready to say?
What's that?
I think you were getting ready to say Amazon looked great.
I mean, yeah, like I remember like just looking at the chart, looking at price sitting there on the 50-day, I'm like, this thing, it looked, I thought it looked good. Same thing with Apple.
Yep. Yeah, like
I think,
I love quick resets, right? And then in a big uptrend, the quicker the harder the reset is, the
Yeah.
more likely it's a shakeout than a breakdown.
I posted it. I know we're running over. I posted it last week. The time is a flat circle because corrections happen via time or price, right? Or both. It
Yep.
could be both, depending on your time frame. But price crashing quickly resets everything, and it's I don't know. I'm at
And there
awe
were solid
of the
resets on
mastery.
sentiment, right? Like sentiment indicators, there was a lot of solid resets.
Yeah. Anyway, hey guys, thanks.
call that, yeah, for sure.
Thanks
I'll be
Cybersecurity, man.
back in the US next week,
Thanks for
back
being
to the
awesome.
miserable winter.
Thanks for joining us from halfway around the globe, GP, and in a different
Always,
hemisphere.
guys. Always.
Nick, you know, Nick, you got to if you're buying when you're buying this week, you hit us last week with the perfect call. If you didn't
Um,
buy last week, when are you buying?
if you didn't buy last week,
Yeah,
on the Qs, like I think a down open tomorrow would be a gift. Like if we got a 402.50-ish like open, I think you buy the
basically the
week
bottom
open.
of 4 weeks ago candle,
Yeah.
the week of Christmas candle. Is that the week before Christmas candle?
Yeah. That's kind of what I think. If you don't play it there, I think you could potentially trade against 406.09, which is kind of that gap high, that the gap high, it's like the open of that bar. Um Either way, I think you're using last week's low as your risk right now.
Absolutely. Everything
Yep.
higher.
Yeah, I mean on a larger time frame, last week's high is basically was it last week? I'm
Open,
sorry,
right?
or the week before, whatever that 1228 candle basically. Like that's your B point on a lot of like ABCD leg higher. So if you didn't, if you didn't enter, today or last week, I mean, you could probably end up buying the breakout too.
Yeah. Is 2024 the year breakouts actually work?
I think I think so.
Yeah. Well, the market broke out, right? The Qs broke out. They cleared all-time highs. So most likely the stocks will follow.
I'm
I
a
mean,
home.
looking at the chart of the Qs, like if you look at the monthly, we made an all-time monthly closing
Yeah.
high.
Yep.
Like holy shit.
And we're getting ready
Yep.
to do it again.
That's why I think the bigger pullbacks from around 430, right? I think we talked about it last week.
Yeah.
Do you mean in like in terms of price or in terms of like duration? Like we get like a 3 to 6 month pause, or you think we correct
we
more harder through
let's say
price?
we get to like 430, 440 going into earnings, right? What's about a 10% move higher from here? 8 to 10%. Right. I think after that, after earnings tends to be choppy anyway. After
Sure.
earnings, I can see us pulling back into this level that we just tested, which gives you your 10% move
All right.
or correction, right?
I dig it.
That's my thought process, right? Basically retesting the actual breakout. But I don't know about timeframes. I just know that in you're gonna be happier holding and doing less.
For sure. Keep
And with
fucking buying.
that, we're going to do less.
Buy
And
the dip.
cast out. Hey, Pratt, good to see you. Thanks for jumping in at the last minute. We're still here yapping for another minute. 72
Yeah.
minutes now.
I gotta head out, guys, though. It's about
All right,
3:15
GP.
here.
Be safe traveling
Yep.
back. That's all I wanted to say. Nick,
Yes.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
just keep letting that beard just be voluptuous and luscious.
I will. 100%.
All right, guys. Talk to you next week.
All right, guys.
Have a good night.